And souvlaki to you all.
And I can say posise, Philos. I can say, how are you, friend? It's good. How's my accent, by the way, Jimmy? Is that decent, or does it sound like I'm like totally a German trying to speak Greek?
No, you sound cool, man. Except when I reply to you, it's like you didn't understand what I said, so there's a bit of a sort of slight stop and pause.
No, he just wasn't listening to you.
Or it could be that.
It could be. It could be. All right, guys. Well, before we get into the show, let's go ahead and see if there's any news to cover. Does anybody have anything off the top of their head that they would like to cover that we haven't covered?
Since yesterday, when we did Smack Attack, I am not aware of any.
All right. Well,
I mean, I know the Fast Nationals on, the SmackDown looks flat. Dynamite looks like it went back down to its norm of just over 300. Well, I don't know what its norm is, so it went back down to just over 300,000.
Just over 300,000. All right. Well, at least we can be reasonably certain. I guess reasonably certain that the Collision will beat Uncaged or Rampage. At least I hope it does, because man, was that a bad show this week.
Well, there was a UFC show last night, so who knows? Next week they're going up against SmackDown. I don't think Collision is even live next week, so I think maybe they planned that. And for those who are interested, I guess this is news. The Great American Bash for NXT is on Peacock tonight. So check it out. And those who are interested in that Twisted Metal show, Peacock dropped it all at once, so you don't have to wait week to week like with some of the shows that they actually realize are good and anticipate people would want to watch. They just dropped it all so you can binge Netflix style because they realize it's trash. Oh, the last part's editorial. This is trash.
Cool.
Well, I just wanted
some people in the chat are in the wrong. Are in the wrong.
Oh yeah, no. That's why I was kind of distracted. So in case when you said when you were talking to me and I come across as kind of like sort of mute, is because I accidentally went on the wrong channel and I went back to the right channel. So it's all good.
That's wizardry.
No, I was on Bin's channel by accident. We're going live from Bin's channel, but I thought I was on the Humming Media Group channel, but it's all good now.
Oh, okay. I just assumed because you were kind of spacey that you had smoked a bowl before we
No. I was concentrating on this on the right, man. That's why. So I was like, oh shit, I fucked up, and I just realized. So I just had to fix that. So yeah, no, I'm cool. I'm back to normal, guys. I was just panicking at what I was doing on the right there. So yeah, good morning, y'all.
With you, Jimmy. I mean, look at my hair. I did it a special way for you. I got a cut just like Ludwig Kaiser, just to drive you crazy.
I actually didn't notice, Jeff, but now I have. Like I said, I wasn't concentrating. I was looking to my right. But yeah, man, looks good. But didn't you get a haircut like last week?
No, I got a haircut yesterday.
No, but I could have sworn you got another haircut even the week before. The week before that, maybe even.
He's a lawyer. He's a lawyer. He's got all kind. He's got John Enright money, Jimmy. He can get a haircut every week.
I definitely have John Enright money. That's for sure.
I don't. Not to give
I
you
have
the
an
good old John
in-house
Enright,
stylist.
I know, that's true. Good old La Stylist.
Your hairdo looks like the old version of Superman, like like when he came back for the Dark Knight Returns.
Well, that's not the old version of Superman to me is George Reeves. So
okay.
That's before Christopher Reeves, like by 50 years.
Yeah. Isn't that the one who killed himself? He was gay and he killed himself. Is that right?
I think maybe.
Yeah.
Who? Christopher Reeves?
No, George Reeves, the first guy who played Superman.
Okay.
No, Christopher Reeves fell off. Was
a horse, wasn't it?
And he became paralyzed, and he died of natural, like Draws early, but of natural causes.
No, I know. I knew that.
How do you defeat Superman? Either you kiss him as a man or kick him off a horse.
Jesus.
That might still be a little too early for those jokes. I apologize.
I wish I had the Durumch right at Q. But it's funny. I just see a little comment from Aaron Ben Shalom, by the way. And he says, this was the worst episode of Collision so far. And you need to be a great spin doctor to make it look good. I disagree, just quietly, but we'll get to that shortly.
Quietly. Why can't you have the courage of your convictions and say you disagree, like in normal tone or loudly? Because I disagree. But I think I know what he's talking about. I mean, there were little things here that were there. If you want to dissect it, which is what we do when we sift through the wreckage. I mean, we are full accident reconstructionists. We're going to look for nits to pick, and there was a lot of stuff that was strange in the show, and there were definitely some Tony fingerprints on it all over the place. But I didn't. But I mean, of our sample size of 6, this was certainly not the worst. I think the one right before Forbidden Door, or the one after, were those were the 2 weak ones. I actually thought the show was rather enjoyable, but if you were looking for logical consistency, this was very much WWE, a year and a half ago, as far as logic was concerned. Wasn't quite Dynamite level of chaos, but there were seeds of Dynamite sprinkled throughout.
Very minimal, in my opinion, but that's just me.
I think they might be more than you realize right now. But by the time we get through sifting, I think that the Gardener of Doom will have shown you where all the little mounds are buried.
I've got an idea where the Gardener of Doom.
I don't know.
He's going to point to, but we'll see.
Let's let our narrator take us to the show, because we have Mighty Virgil here.
The mighty Virgil. Also, yeah. I mean, Ben, I think I agree with you. I actually think that this is the worst episode of Collision. But wow. I mean, from a sample size that isn't terrible, that's not like the worst thing in the world. I think the truth is that this was the worst episode of Collision, but it was still the best episode of like major wrestling, not including Impact, which I didn't watch, or MLW, which nobody watches, or Ring of Honor, which nobody watches. But like, of the major wrestling shows that we had this week, I still think it was the best one, and that just means that we didn't have a great week of wrestling.
I can confirm that MLW was by far worse.
Yeah, well, that's not shocking. Opinion haver, do you have an opinion about whether or not this show was better or worse than this week's episode of Impact?
Impact? I didn't watch that shit. Kidding me?
No.
What's going on, Vet?
What's your opinion?
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Was this the worst episode of Collision, in your opinion?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
No. We shouldn't even be, at this point, it's ridiculous to even be talking about worst episodes of, like, this is some kind of a bingeable season of something that just dropped on Netflix. What are you talking about? It's a wrestling show.
What does Ben have to do with this?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, nothing at all. All right, well, as we've already sort of had him on, this is this is the opinion haver. He has opinions. He is also the vet. Vet, welcome to the show.
Vet.
Happy to be here.
All right, well, thanks for being here. Hey, let's get into the show, guys. Let's do it so that we can continue my my storyline of being done right around in the 2-hour mark, because I don't like to do 4-hour wrestling shows. It's just too much talking for me. So we start the show off with a ladder match between Buddy Matthews and Andrade El Idolo for Andrade's mask. It's a quick start between these two. Each guy's attempting to lay the other out kind of hard. They're getting to weapons pretty quick. They go to ladder spots and the table spots and setting things up to try to put people through stuff pretty quick. I guess it makes sense because they want to take the other one out. At least there's a logical element to that. Although I might like a slower build in a wrestling match than that personally, but yeah. During the break, I don't know if everybody else saw this, if this was on picture in picture, because my feed from Canada was like the live feed, because no one in Canada wants to cover Collision, apparently. It doesn't have a home here in my country, so I was watching the live feed. So during the break, we see the Doc. He looked like he pulled Matthew's shoulder back into place. Yeah. I don't know if that was for real or what, but
I think it was
brutal. Yeah.
It was very Merton Riggs, it was very lethal weapon, but I think it was real.
Yeah. So that's, hey, shout outs to Buddy Matthews for being willing to be sort of tough and get through it. Hopefully he's not injured.
It's not a good. It's not well. He obviously. It's not a good sign for the longevity of his career if he's got a separated shoulder that's been separated so often that you can just pop it in and let him and clear him for a match. I mean that's a permanent condition when it's. I mean the good news is it's that easy to pop in. The bad news is that's a permanent condition and it will generate.
Yeah. The bad news is it's that easy to pop out.
Right.
All right. Buddy sets up some ladders for weapons, and the first big spot of the night is Buddy taking a big flipping power bomb off of the ladder into another ladder. That looked like it hurt. These matches are brutal. Man, I remember No Mercy. Like way back, was it like 98 or 90? I can't remember what year it was, but I remember like that No Mercy ladder match between Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys, like the first like really brutal ladder match we saw. And I remember watching that as a kid and just being in awe and just like, holy shit, what are these four guys fucking doing? Right. And now it's like, if we don't see a decapitation, nobody even pops anymore. Like during this match, there's all this brutality happening. Buddy Matthews is getting his fucking shoulder pulled back into place, and the crowd's going, "We want tables."
But half of the crowd was going, "No, we don't." So you got one of those things happening.
Good stuff. Vet, what do you think? Have we gone a little too far with these matches? Where like somebody, I would really love to see a ladder match where it's like a logical ladder match, and it's not just set up for the big moment and spot fest sort of thing. Like the thing that comes to my mind is the cage match between Owen and Brett, right? It was unlike basically any other cage match we had seen to that point. It wasn't just the two guys throwing each other into the cage over and over again to try to get blood. It was really logically done. It was, if two guys were actually trying to escape the cage, what would that match look like? Right? I'd love to see somebody in like a major company go back to doing something like that. Do you think that could work in today's day and age, Vet?
It's just up to the guys that are involved in the match, really. It's not like as a company they sit down with these guys and say, now you got to kill yourself. They don't, that's not how it works. It's, these guys are like, well, what can we do? Well, it would be cool and it would be crazy if we did this, and I think the crowd would pop if we did this or whatever. Actually, I don't even want to say that because I don't know what goes through these guys' heads. So I shouldn't even presume to know what they might be thinking. I just know that if you put two guys in there who are old and broken down and say you have to have a ladder match, like good workers or whatever, like they will find a way to do the match without doing these things. And the match will probably be more entertaining because they would set it up in a way, at least if I was told I had to be in a ladder match, for example, what I'm going to be trying to do is tell the story of how am I going to avoid injury at all costs in this match. And I'll have the other guy threaten to injure me many times that I will escape from and either turn the tables or we'll just,
payoff.
Of course.
Yeah.
So depending on who's in the match depends what type of ladder match you will get. You get a couple of guys like this who are reasonably in their, not super young, but young enough that they still want to do these type of things. Or maybe they think they have to. I really don't know. But just to answer your question very simply, yes, we can have any kind of ladder match we want because ultimately the crowd participation depends on how over the guys are, not what they do.
Right. No, that's true. That's definitely worth thinking about. All right. Andrade gets back into the ring first after this flipping powerbomb thing off the ladder onto a ladder. You have to see it. I can't describe it any better than that. But before he can get to the mask, Matthews catches him, pulls him off the ladder into a big knee strike. I actually liked this spot. I thought it looked really cool and looked reasonably safe for a ladder match. That looked good. Andrade gets handcuffed to the ropes, but he has the key. He recovers in time to unlock himself. He locks Matthews in instead. Andrade tosses the key into the crowd, but Julia Hart has bolt cutters, because of course she does. Why would you, you've got handcuffs. You've definitely got bolt cutters too. Julia basically climbs on top of him, piggybacks on Andrade to keep him from the mask. He fights both members of the House of Black off. He recovers his mask, and he is back in possession of his mask. And he's very, very happy. Jimmy, let's go to you first. What did you think of the match?
I thought it was great. I thought it was the best ladder match. If there was another ladder, was there even any other ladder matches in AEW?
Not this.
Ever?
Anyone know?
Yeah, like every week.
Ever. Yeah, true. Feels like that, right? But really, I enjoyed the match.
I mean,
but it was. Oh yeah, you're right. No, you're right. But who remembers Wardlow at this point? Let's be honest. But no, in all seriousness, I did enjoy the match. It was hard hitting, but that's also the problem. I mean, these guys were absolutely killing each other. And when you were talking about that spot, Chris, off the ladder when Andrade powerbombed Buddy off the ladder, I don't know if you guys noticed, but he went balls first, and I'm talking about Andrade, into the ladder. Like, literally, balls first and powerbombed Buddy onto that ladder. And seriously, I don't think I've ever seen a spot like that. It was unnecessary violence, but in saying that, if these guys want to kill each other, fuck it. Who am I to judge, right? I mean, let them kill each other. But as far as Buddy's shoulder goes, to me, it looked legit, right? But at the same time, was he really hampered by it? It didn't seem like it. At first, he was selling it, but then by the end of the match, he seemed fine. But he was trending on X, not Twitter, on X, by the way. How stupid is that, right, guys? I mean, seriously,
Is it still trending, or are they Xing? I have no idea how that works.
That's a good question, actually. That's actually a great question.
Maybe you should
Chris.
send
I'm
an
not sure.
Instagram to Elon to find out.
Also, I'm not sure if it's
a thread,
just because...
perhaps a thread.
Oh, yes, a thread.
I'm not sure if it's just because I live in Canada, but my phone still says Twitter. See?
Wow, really?
Mine does too. But my computer shows X. My phone says anyway. It doesn't matter. No one cares. Elon is clearly not very good at this.
Mine says X, and it got updated yesterday. I don't know if you guys can see it. See the X?
Oh,
Yes, I see your X. He's very handsome.
So, but seriously, I thought it was a great match. Other than the unnecessary violence, it was still great, but in my opinion. But like Shlomo said Aaron Ben Shlomo said in the chat, he hated it because there was no build, and I can understand what he means. Technically, there was a build, but it was an extremely lazy build. Let's be honest, guys.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, let me talk about that just for some. I'm sorry, Chris. I'm sorry,
No,
but this is the perfect segue right here. What Jimmy just said, because yes, these guys killed each other. And yes, these guys will kill each other whether they have a ladder or not. That's all they've ever done when they get in the ring with each other is kill each other. They obviously enjoy working with each other because when you like the guy, you tend to take it out on the guy that much more for whatever reason. I don't know why that works, but it's a fact. I can confirm it. But yes, they killed each other, but here's why it doesn't matter to me. And then we'll see what Jeff thinks, but why I don't care that they killed each other. Okay, let me tell you a story. So I'm at work the other day, and I'm in the break room, and I leave my phone, which also has a little Twitter bird on the app. I leave my phone on the table as I get up to get a drink of water out of the little fountain. So while I'm up getting a drink of water, a coworker of mine comes in, grabs my phone off the table, and then when I go back to go toward the table, they hold up my phone at me like, and then they run out of the room. And then I chase after them, but they're gone, and I can't find them. So now I don't have my phone. So I'm just like, well, fuck. So next day I go into work, and I try to go to work, but security stops me, and they say, sir, you can't come in here. And I said, what are you talking about? I work here. And they're like, you can't come in here. You have to leave. So I'm like, but my phone, I want my phone. And they won't give it to me. Okay, so, the following week, I go to my boss and I'm like, look, I work here. This guy took my phone. I want my phone back. And he says, okay, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. We will have a fight in the parking lot. Okay. And I'll put the phone up on top of the roof, and whoever wins the fight can get the phone. So I can have my phone back. And I said, all right, bet. So that's what we did. We had the fight in the parking lot. I beat the shit out of this motherfucker. And I went up to the roof and grabbed my phone and held it up for everybody to see. Now, let me ask you guys, did I just make this whole shit up? Is this a real thing that happened to me?
I'm pretty sure it's allegorical.
Oh, okay. Well, that's your build for this fucking match. And that's why when you kill each other, it makes everything look stupider. Like, why are you even bothering to work this hard when this is the creative that you're presented with?
Not just that, Vet. Even worse, they're killing each other for free. It's not even on pay-per-view.
Free TV. Just tune in. That's all you got to do. So, these are the kind of things that we have to think about when they tell us you got to have this match. And I'm like, well, my match is going to be commensurate with the creative I've received, because that's what you guys deserve if this is what you're handing me. There's not a world in the multiverse where what I just described could actually happen, but it happened here. And this was Collision, which is supposed to be the good wrestling show.
Well, I thought you worked with Swiper the Fox when you first started the story.
Yeah. Well, took you on some twists and turns there.
See, here's my problem, Jeff. I'll ask you what you think about this. So Andrade has been feuding with the House of Black, right?
Allegedly.
Okay. Now, the House of Black is several people. They're kind of spooky folks, right? And they stole his mask from him. But
Stealing masks is tight.
But from whom does the House of Black derive their name?
Malachi, the leader.
Right, the leader of the House of Black, Malachi Black, who stole the mask.
Right.
Why was this match with Buddy Matthews? Like, I like Buddy Matthews. I think he's a really excellent wrestler, but shouldn't Andrade be getting his revenge on the leader of the House of Black?
Yeah, I'm going to pick up the thread that you've been laying down because I do it. But before that, I want to give people some analysis that you're not going to get anywhere other than from me, because nothing says badass, I want my mask back so much like a wrestler wearing a tailor-made Gucci belt in the match. Andrade was wearing a freaking Gucci belt.
Was he really?
Yes.
I actually didn't notice.
Come on.
I actually never noticed that.
You didn't notice because nobody notices things except me. But I'm telling you, nothing says big fight feel other than a Gucci belt. So this is ridiculous. Okay. So let me nitpick the usual. It was the usual stupidity in every single ladder match that's ever existed since the beginning of time of people not going for the win when they could have easily gone for the win. So let's get that out of the way. This battle for a mask was a mask that Andrade doesn't wear in the ring. So it's not like your traditional luchador protecting your face, represents everything. I'm pretty sure that's part of what Chris was going to get to later on. But he doesn't wear the mask. He takes it off at the top of the ring. It's clearly a rubber mask. It's not like one of those sacred masks. Doesn't even look like the same type of material as the sacred revered mask that your typical luchador wears. All right, let's get that out of the way. Julia Hart, for the first time in history, she's remembered everything. She knows where the bolt cutters are. She's got the keys. She knows where all the weapons are. She's running around. She's doing her thing. She's jumping on Andrade's shoulders, which, by the way, I didn't think was bad. But this is the one time she forgot to bring mist. She's right there on the other side of the ladder, and she doesn't blow mist on his face while he's near the top. I mean, come on. She also was being a stupid heel by dangling the key just out of reach of Andrade. But hey, that's heel stuff. That's cocky heel stuff. It's fine. So, but it is a heel being stupid. But heels are supposed to be stupid, especially when they can mock. This is wrestling. It bothers me a little bit, but I can, on the other hand, I can forgive it. But yes, there was no House of Black involvement in this match, which is both good and bad. But, this also sort of ended the expected La Facción Ingobernables, which you figured was going to lead to a 3-on-3 feud over those trios titles, which are barely mentioned anymore. But he didn't even wear the title to it. And yes, you're correct. This type of match should end the feud, but it can't end the feud because it wasn't with the leader, as you were pointing out. So like most AEW angles, they are rushed, and you have a stipulation sort of in the middle or the beginning of a feud, not at the end, and now they have to top each other. That said, I enjoyed the heck out of this match. Now, there were plenty of times where I grimaced, and I'm like, ooh, is that smart? There were a couple times where I wasn't sure who took the offense, like that time that Andrade did the slingshot spear out of the ring, sort of, the usual. They go like this with their shoulder when someone's trying to attack them from the ring. And it looked like, and Buddy Matthews apparently reversed it into a DDT or a short, abbreviated DDT. I didn't catch that immediately. It looked to me like
it's not visual enough.
Yeah, it wasn't
That's
visual.
why it was confusing if you were just kind of glancing, or even if you looked right at it.
Yeah, but commentary did a good job of cleaning it up, and they did a slow motion. So, good on production for that. I'm not sure that it was well thought out, that there wasn't enough space, and those ladders, kudos that they use the more solid ladders that are probably safer and look like they hurt you and won't break if you're, powerhouse Hobbs stepping on them. But they're solid matte black or dark gray, and it's sort of harder to see. I enjoyed, listen, I just picked a lot of nits right down to Gucci belt, but I enjoyed the hell out of this match. I'm just, some of the things I'm talking about is things I'm concerned about for the future, where we're just going to get better matches and it's still going to be Dynamite logic. And these are the things I'm watching for. But I had fun watching it. I enjoyed the shit out of this.
Yeah, it seems like there's a bit of Tony Khan creep happening over on Collision, and it's definitely, you want to stop that before it becomes a full-on wave.
And by the way, before people say I'm always picking on Hobbs, Buddy Matthews and Big Bill have some big. Oh, Buddy Murphy. No, so Buddy Matthews.
No, Matthews. Yes.
Yeah, they have some big back knee issues as well.
Well, I want to say about this obviously not being the final match for Andrade, but it should be. I mean, he got his mask back, right? His mask, shall I say? But interesting enough, I know it's the best. But what's funny? You mentioned Rush earlier. Los Ingobernables de Facción, whatever you want to call them. Rush apparently has re-signed with AEW for a lot of money.
That's why I was expecting him.
Right. Well, maybe next week we get that. I mean, maybe they need to do a Survivor Series event and call it just, I don't know, AEW Survivor or some shit like that. And then maybe we can have the blow off between these two factions or whatever you want to call them.
Can I be honest though? Like with that idea, Jimmy. Like here's my problem with that idea, and it's a problem that I have with like how AEW is booked in general. Is like if I see a blow off. And then next week we're just continuing, and then I see a blow off again, and then next week we're just continuing, and then we finally have a blow off, and there's thumbtacks and cages and stuff. I don't care because I've already seen 2 fucking blow off matches.
Right, like, but maybe this time it's for Andrade's jockstrap.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, what the fuck are we fighting over? And is it the belts? And now, so the mask was the most important thing that could have ever been imagined by Andrade, and he can't possibly imagine someone else possessing his mask. But now the real feud is over the AEW Trios titles, which have existed for all of like a year and a half and been held by 3 fucking teams. Really? Like. Right. And this is my same problem that I had with the BCC versus the Elite. They had 3 different fucking matches that I thought were the end of the fucking feud, because it's like, oh, we're gonna have the Anarchy in the Arena match, and they have it, and I go, oh, okay, we're done then. Next week, we're continuing. No. These teams really hate each other, and then they have a cage match, and it's oh, okay, I guess we're done now. Everybody they went through tables, and they had all this other stuff, and then then next week it's oh no, next month we're gonna have blood and guts, and it's like, what the fuck is going on here?
Well, next week they're gonna advertise. We hear from Andrade, and Andrade's gonna say, "You took my masks, so now me and mi amigos, we're coming for your titles." And then we'll see. We'll finally see Rush, and hopefully it's Jalistico and Preston Vance is fucking off to Ring of Honor or something. But
well, remember that infomercial, especially at late night, where that guy used to say, but wait, there's more. You know what I mean? That's what we're getting over here. I mean,
what's the number? I'm ordering it. Whatever it is, I don't care. The way you sold it.
1-900 number, Jeff. Settle down. But no, but really, yeah, no, it's stupid booking. It's lazy. It's very TK-ish. I mean, let's be honest, right? Only TK can come up with absolute lazy ass booking like this. But all that shit aside, the match was great. And as the vet said before, it's funny how, you know, when you trust somebody, you put your body on the line for them without even thinking twice. And clearly these two guys enjoy working with each other.
Well, they're also fighting for the show. They're
Well,
not just
yeah,
they're fighting
and
for
as
each
they
other.
should.
They're fighting for their friends' jobs. They're fighting for the show. They're fighting for CM Punk. They're fighting for the
For Charlotte.
or whatever it is.
For Rhea.
No, Jimmy. No, stick to the plot. Stick to the plot.
Everybody was talking about it on Twitter. Oh, sorry, X, for whatever reason. But yeah.
Okay.
I don't give a fuck what Elon says. I'm calling it Twitter. I don't care. All right. moving right along, because yeah, that was hey, that was a crazy match, but is it the end? Probably not. Is it going to blow something off for real? No, probably not. Does anybody actually get built off of this match? No. Does anybody, did any business actually get done here? Pretty much no. This is just another chapter in the show to move us forward to whatever's next between these two, entities, between Andrade and maybe whoever he brings to the dance and the House of Black. So anyway, let's move on. We'll move on to another thing that didn't make any fucking sense. Miro was backstage talking to Tony Schiavone, and that already sort of lacks sense to me. But Tony basically asks him something, and before he can answer, somebody comes and attacks Miro with a chair. He hits him a couple of times, and then Miro beats him up, and then that's the end of it. Basically, Miro just stands there and sells for a second after getting attacked with a chair and then fighting off this attacker. And I honestly, not just because I couldn't recognize him, but because the announcers didn't fucking call it out. I had to text Jeff and say, Jeff, was that Aaron Solo?
Yes.
And apparently it was Aaron Solo. Well,
Yes.
Speaking of exes,
Right.
Bailey's ex.
Right. Listen.
right.
Round of applause for Aaron Solo for that. But now for this, you're right. This made no sense, and the only thing that it tells me is that while we haven't seen a segment of QTV in the last 3 shows, Collision, Rampage, and Dynamite, and I sort of missed
Thank
it.
God.
Well, okay, we can agree to disagree. That's not the important part. This tells me that the QTV crew is involved with Miro, which is not good. So Solo, who? I mean, I guess because he beat Camarado, but Camarado isn't part of the QTV crew, and we were told that the Nightmare Factory wasn't a thing a few months ago by QT Marshall. So beating Camarado shouldn't have anything to do with it. But okay, so I guess then it's going, But who's the boss there? QTV? I mean, so I guess Miro has to go through, in some order, QT Marshall, Johnny TV, John Hennigan, John Morrison, Johnny Impact, whatever you want to call him. But is Hobbs going to be the final boss in this? Because it's not clear who the leader is, and it's not clear that Hobbs is still with the QTV group because they haven't talked about him in a couple of weeks. And if this is leading to Miro versus John Morrison, I'm okay with that. I'm interested in seeing that. That's an easy call. Some good matches, but John Morrison loses. If this is with Miro versus Hobbs, I'm down with that too. I don't know who I want to win that feud, and they have to book it carefully. But that's something I'd be interested to see. I'm just not interested in seeing, squashing Aaron Solo and QT Marshall that much. I'm willing to watch it if it's going someplace. I just didn't understand the why of this. And then the thing that didn't make sense, and then I'm going to shut up, is that Miro yells Schiavone as if he has something to do with it. But the implication that was Schiavone was nearby and would come back and he'd finish his interview and tell us what was on his mind. But Schiavone pieced out and he was gone. So why did Miro yell Schiavone?
It's just fun to yell.
Yeah.
Vet, you're the professional here. Can you explain to us why, what the fuck is the point of this? And, what Jeff just said sounds terrible. First of all, I'm sure the matches would be just fine. would be just fine, right? They would be
I want
fine.
someone to clip that. I want someone to clip that sound bite where he says, "What Jeff just said sounds terrible," and then let's add that to the roadcaster, Jimmy. Okay.
Fuck.
I agree.
All right.
I
What I
should.
mean is, I'm sure the matches would be fine and everything, but why do they keep doing this where they bring in somebody with, at least a small amount of name recognition, Johnny, John, or John TV or whatever the fuck his name is here. You bring in Johnny TV and you just have him be another cog in the machine for Miro to go through on his way through QTV. It seems like such a waste. Why sign a guy to be that? You've already got 6 of those.
I don't know, Jimmy.
Fuck if I know. I've got no clue.
Yeah, I'm just passing it to you because I really have no comment. No, not back to Jeff. He's already said everything he needs to say about this, but I think we've said enough because this, there's no answers to these questions.
Right.
The question is who cares? The answer is no one, and we move on to the next segment.
All right.
Tony collects
There was
trophies.
a point in
That's
the
all.
segment.
And his trophies are full-sized, real, live, action figures.
Yeah, or he's, package deal, signed the wife. Can my husband have a job? Sure, why not? End of story.
But do you think Vet, especially because I don't know if you know anything about it, but do you think there's some sort of fuckery going on with Miro and the company still? I mean, what are they doing? I mean, seriously, there's got to be, right? I mean, why would you waste a guy like Miro by doing this, especially putting him with Aaron Solo, and for what? Big deal.
I don't know.
I don't know. One more nitpick. If Miro's the Redeemer, his whole gimmick now is he has abandoned his God. Why is he wearing his crucifix on camera?
Good question. Actually, that's a good point. It's true.
Yeah, a little bit of logical consistencies would be nice. Maybe he thinks he's his own
The
redeemer.
accessory analysis, the Gucci belt, the necklace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're all on it. Well, we'll
I'm
see.
like a
We'll see
queer
if you have
eye
any
for the
more.
wrestling fan.
Jesus.
All right. Well, queer eye for the wrestling fan. That's a makeover show. So might I suggest that the first thing that we do in this makeover is not a haircut or new clothes or better accessories. We just introduce them to deodorant because apparently that was a big topic at the live show. There was an awful lot of tweets about how smelly people were in the arena. So
Really?
Yeah, and
I saw
somewhere,
fucking 30 of them.
and one was
No
from
way.
Alicia Toot,
Jesus.
who, by the way, is Richard Holliday's girlfriend/wife, whatever they are. And Richard Holliday used to be in Dynasty, so there was a big thing that Richard Holliday, free agent, is backstage, at AEW. But yeah, Alicia Toot said, "Oh my God, something about the body odor in here is unbearable."
Wow, Connecticut. Use some deodorant for crying out loud. Jesus.
Yeah, you can afford
my
it. We
God.
know where. This was in Connecticut. You can definitely afford deodorant. Jesus.
I mean, it was in Hartford. They all work for insurance companies. They're all getting at least $65,000 bureaucrat salary.
Well,
Yeah,
can I just say that Rexona won't let you down? I'm just saying.
Okay, great.
I have no
What's
idea
that?
what that reference is. We're moving on. Darby Allin is coming out and he doesn't know who he's gonna face, and then we get the big pop when it's Minotauro Nogueira. Is that right?
Exactly, that's correct. Yes.
Okay. I'm not gonna lie, I missed most of this match because my daughters were fucking around down on the dock, and my oldest got caught out on an inner tube and was basically stranded on the lake, and I had to go rescue her. So that was fun. What I did see though was the finish of this match, which I liked. It was the Roddy Piper Bret Hart finish, where Suzuki locked in a rear naked choke, and Darby rolled back to cover the old man's shoulders down. Tell me about the match. We'll go with you first, Jimmy, since we've been going with you last for every other thing.
Well, you know what? I enjoyed this match. I liked it a lot, man. I mean, it was a little pleasant surprise for Minoru Suzuki to appear, but then again, he has been appearing in recent episodes of AEW. But I actually enjoyed this match. A part of me wanted Minoru to win, but I understand the finish and why the finish was the way it was. But man, he kicked the shit out of Darby, man. I almost felt kind of sorry for him. Murder Grandpa is still a thing for me. And you can say what you want, guys. I know the vet likes Minoru, but you two, come on, man. You got to give some respect to the murdered grandpa. Come on now.
I thought it was funny. The one thing that I also saw was that the announcers called it out that Darby interrupted the song Minashinatete or whatever the fuck it's called. And yeah, apparently that got some boos from the crowd. Jeff, tell me your thoughts on this matchup.
Cousin in the Ray, Chris, by the way.
I mean, the match was fine. But, Darby doing the I want to fight. I don't care who it is. I want to fight. I mean, that's weird and irritating and played out. But at least he was in the ring, not in a dark, closeted room where no one's going to come and fight you. And apparently several WWE wrestlers got locked in that closet at the same time for a year and a half together, and they couldn't even figure out to fight each other. That's
a Malachi Black reference.
Malachi Black, AOP, Mojo Rawley. There's a whole host of them. Anyway, when Suzuki came out, unlike Jimmy, and maybe unlike the vet, I'm not sure. I don't want to speak for him. Just because you like a guy doesn't mean that you didn't say why. I mean, first of all, he's supposed to be an attraction. It's supposed to be special. So at least advertise it if you think it's special. I don't think it's special. I don't need to see him, but advertise him special. What's the point of Forbidden Door if you're going to get these Japanese wrestlers all throughout the year without even being promoted at any time? The other thing
is to open the door.
Well, yeah, I guess so. But it's no longer forbidden, I get. But this is not about a story. I thought the match I found to be an unpleasant surprise because this is so dynamite to have random wrestlers from other promotions show up on your shows for no apparent reason. I mean, I figured the Collision would work with wrestlers. Oh, by the way, when you asked about news, I don't know if we talked about this before, and this is Collision related. Scorpio Sky's match on Rampage was scrapped. It was Skip Sabian replaced him. Because Scorpio Sky apparently is injured again already. I don't know how he did it. I guess in practice or at a indie show, but he took a wrong landing and twisted his knee, and maybe it's not being reported, but people are saying it might be bad. Like it might be his knee, and he's like 40 or 41, which that could spell lots of things. Anyway, I don't want random wrestlers on Collision, and when they are, it should be a giant surprise. I'm sorry, Minoru Suzuki is no longer, like 3 years ago, there was a mystique about him in the United States. It's gone now. He's on all the time, and he mostly loses. So what's the big deal? And he's getting older, and he looks it. I mean, it actually looked like Darby.
He still moves great though for his age, man.
Shut up! It's just shut up.
Jesus Christ!
He really doesn't.
This guy, I beg to differ. He moves better than say Sting or any other guy around his age.
Sting is 12 years older than he is. I mean, Minoru Suzuki isn't as old as he's not. Sting is like 64. Minoru Suzuki is like my age. He just looks older.
Right. He's just a very old-looking man. Vet, tell me what I missed here, because I missed most of this other than the finish, and I know you are a fan of Minoru Suzuki. You have followed his career quite a bit, and maybe just I'd like to give you a chance to sort of answer Jeff's questions too, like why have him here, why not make it more special, etc.
Yeah, well, so I'm going to start by agreeing with Jeff about one thing, which is, you're right, the mystique is gone. I don't know how much mystique there really is for many wrestlers. But that's sort of a byproduct of the fact that the guy has sort of like opened up his schedule and been like, all right, well, I guess I'm coming to America because my country is closed down and our fans aren't allowed to make any noise. So he takes bookings in America whenever he can. And he likes the fishing out here. So, it makes sense. Like, if Minoru Suzuki's in the States, Tony's probably going to be like, well, you want to swing by Hartford real quick? I just assume that's what it is, because I know he didn't fly over for this one match, So he's probably got some bookings or whatever, and he happened to be able to take this one. That's my guess. But yeah, the mystique is gone. However, we don't need mystique for every single little thing. So we have to take it a la carte, right, Chris? And what I got was a match between two guys I really like. Here's another thing about Minoru Suzuki. A lot of guys that he works with over here don't get it. So the matches are kind of subpar. Now, I'm on the record as saying Darby's one of my favorites. Why? Because Darby knows how to work. You can count on one hand the amount of guys in this company that know how to fucking work. Unfortunately, he has a gimmick of a daredevil skateboarder. But, that aside, he can work. So the match that these guys had, I'm going to give the credit to Darby in the sense that he knew what to have Minoru Suzuki do to get the most out of Minoru Suzuki. And Minoru Suzuki did look good in this match. He did move well in this match, not just for his age, for anybody's age. Now, Minoru Suzuki, even in his younger years, was always a little bit stiff and weird just because, he's used to fighting for real, or at least worked real. So like he's always been a little weirdly stiff, and I don't mean stiff like he potatoes you. I mean stiff as in his body is like not pliable in certain times. Like he sells weird sometimes, but he's done that since his 30s. It's really nothing new. So he hasn't lost too much of a step. That drop step he's got still looks pretty damn good. And the other stuff that he does, like when he kicks, Darby with the PK off the apron and shit like that, I think you should go back. It's worth going back and checking out, Chris, just so you could finally see a good Minoru Suzuki match, which I bet you haven't seen yet, because most of the people he's in there with are the shits. So here's what happens when he's in there with somebody good who gets it. They know their characters. They know the other guy's characters. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. The finish was great. The old WrestleMania 8, like you said. I thought this was a pleasant surprise on this episode of Collision, and it's one of the better matches I've seen either one of these guys have. It's just it's a real treat for you guys. Like doesn't matter if he's your favorite or not, but like there comes a time where you have to at least come to realize like you're lucky to be able to see somebody. Minoru Suzuki was locked away on the other side of the planet for 20 some years when not really getting to be seen, and unfortunately it's a little late now, but it's still good to be able to see the guy that can still kind of go before he hangs it up or passes on, God forbid, or whatever. Just be happy that you get these little surprises, even if the mystique's not all there.
Preach, Vet, preach. Thank you.
Right on. Well, hey, listen, I mean, on your recommendation, I will figure out a way to go back and watch this match, because I also like Darby Allin, and I've been on record to say, like, look, I think this kid actually gets wrestling. I don't like that he sometimes kicks out of too much. It just seems unrealistic for somebody who is realistically about 150 pounds. Like, legitimately, that's probably his weight.
But he does know how to use his body, though, for being that size.
He does, and I love his offense. My one nitpick with Darby Allin matches has been and continues to be that I think he kicks out of too much. Like when he had that match against Brian Cage, we saw it. We saw him work well, but we also saw him kick out at one of every bit of offense from a guy who weighs more than 80 pounds more than him of solid muscle. That takes me out of it as a wrestling fan. I can't believe that.
As a worker, he's probably ribbing Brian Cage.
Yeah. Well, fuck, man. It's a hell of a rib to pull on national television. Or like last week, I really liked the match that he and Swerve Strickland had, right? I mean, I talked about that. You remember we talked about that, Jimmy, and I said, like, hey, this was a really good match between these two, but I did not like that the stomp happened and he kicked out at 2. Like, stop. He buries everybody's finish that he's in there with, and I don't think he's the right guy for that. But other than that one minor problem that I have with his character overall, I have really, really enjoyed Darby Allin's work in AEW. I think he's like, I think the whole Pillars thing is a bit overrated and ridiculous, but I think that he really has been like a workhorse for this company since they started, and he's been one of the bright spots. So I'll go back and watch. Anyway, Christian is on the Titantron holding up the TNT Championship with a big red guy behind him. He says Darby needs to go back to the mall, go back to Hot Topic, because the TNT title won't be changing hands while it's in Christian's hands. Again, Christian doing the whole walking the line of it's my title that I'm holding for Luchasaurus, and you're not going to get a hold of this title as long as I'm holding it for Luchasaurus. That kind of thing. Very, very tongue in cheek. Very Christian. Very Christian. Jimmy, tell us what you thought about it.
First of all, I couldn't help but notice it must have been damn hot in that arena, man, because he was sweating his balls off just doing that promo. So I guess the BO in that arena was pretty bad. But I don't mind this this little promo. But the thing is, what is this? Is this belt even doing anything really for Luchasaurus or Christian for that matter? I mean, I almost feel like this is a dead and buried championship at this point. And Luchasaurus, what's even the point? I mean, I know he's the champ and all, but
I don't think the problem is this championship. I think it's that everybody has a fucking belt. There's so many titles on this in this company that it's like, who cares that anybody has a fucking belt? Who cares that what exactly is the TNT championship? It's the secondary belt. Well, then what is the international championship? Well, it's also a secondary belt. Well, what exactly is the FTW championship? Well, it's and we just keep going and going and going. There's so many fucking belts that it doesn't matter, right? It's like
we have a Gucci belt.
Thing.
Yeah,
there's
exactly,
a
Gucci belt. But it's not even that freaking good.
It's like the old adage, and I've heard Ben say this, 40 times since I've been listening to him, right? If you have 6 giants, you have no giants, right? You need to have somebody, if you've got a 7-footer in your company, that's great, right? Because then he can be the other guy. He can be that guy. That's the thing. That's his whole focus. And that means something when he's in a match, right? If you have 3 championships in a company, right? The world title, a minor title, and your tag team championships, what winds up happening is those belts mean something when they come out. People come out with those belts, and it means something that they have it because there's only so many of them to go around. But when there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 championships in your company,
really?
Like there's 11 people with fucking belts. Who cares if you have a belt?
Wow, that's pathetic.
Yeah, well, they got over 200 people though, so that's a pretty good percentage.
Well, you forgot to count the Ring of Honor titles and all the titles from other promotions.
Oh, shit!
AAA titles, indie promotions, New Japan
the
titles,
Owen Hart title,
New Japan World Strong titles. I mean,
countless women championships.
Hey, Chris, what's next? Is it the thing where we have yet another title? Is it that? Are we up to that yet? Where the title that comes, the velvet bag title? Are we up to that point yet? Is that next?
No. You know what I think will happen, and don't be surprised. Actually,
not quite. It's coming.
Don't be surprised because AEW think they're woke, right? Don't be surprised if there's going to be a trans championship in the future. Who the hell knows, man? I could see him going that deep.
But,
oh no! Come on.
I think that this is doing something for Christian. I mean, it's giving him a role. I don't think it's doing much for Luchasaurus, but what the fuck else would he do without Luchasaurus, without Jungle Boy and that crew? So, I mean, it's keeping him on TV, and he has a singles title, even though it doesn't feel like it. I mean, Luchasaurus isn't getting a singles title anyplace else any other time. But I think this title is I mean, when it came out, they said, this is not the secondary title. This is a co-equal title. Well, no, it's not, and they've hot potatoed it, and they've treated the champion mostly like crap. And by the way, including as much as you might enjoy this angle because it's a little chippy, it's a little cheeky, it's a little funny. It is shitting on the title. You've got the manager holding the title, pretending it's his, while the dumb dinosaur only 1 out of 8 times even reacts to that, and it's really unclear whether or not he even cares because he wears a mask and can't emote, and there's a reason nobody can tell, and he's never been allowed to speak in any promotions he's been in because he can't, even though he's got a master's in medieval study or a PhD or whatever he's got. So yeah, I think the TNT title has been relegated. Frankly, it's probably co-equal with the FTW title because what the fuck does it mean? I would say the international title is the workhorse title, and unfortunately, I mean, listen, I like Darby too, but you can't say that Orange Cassidy hasn't been a workhorse for the company. I don't like him. but I also feel like that in a promotion, there's only room for one guy like him, and they've got too many guys like him. But that's besides the point. I would prefer B. Darby. I guess, like everyone else here said very eloquently, he knows how to work for his style. I hope he can stay safe doing it. But he's the one guy who's so small because of the way he works. I believe it. But yeah, the kick, like every now and then he just needs to get squashed. And when he's fighting Brian Cage, he shouldn't be taking offense. He should be doing the rope-a-dope. He should be avoiding. He should be making, well, not the rope-a-dope. He should be making Brian Cage chase after him for like a good 7 8 minutes. The guy gets winded, and then he does, basically the human cannonball offense to win that way, get the guy winded. Anyway, that's it for me on this.
Yep. All right. Well, let's move on. Samoa Joe versus Gravity. Joe really weighed him down in this match. Really held him on the mat. Most of it, et cetera, gravity puns. Joe over strong. I was happy that this was a pretty quick match. I was worried that they were going to do the thing they did with Pac, where they made it look like, Gravity's actually a good wrestler, because he is not. I'm sorry. I don't know if he's somebody's friend or what, but I've yet to see a match with this guy where, he's literally somebody's brother.
He is. They said he's the brother of a former Ring of Honor champion, but I didn't catch the name, so I'm thinking maybe it's Delirious, or
Bandito.
Maybe it's Bandito. I don't know who it was, but I mean, I think Gravity's whole thing is stupid. But I mean,
so dumb, bro.
Joe squashing him is correct, and Pac not squashing him was even worse. They at some point said Joe is nearing history with that Ring of Honor TV title, but didn't say what the history is. I mean, I guess it's longest reigning or something like that, but they didn't say what it was. And what was the point? Like, is Joe going to start defending the Ring of Honor TV title on Collision instead of Ring of Honor? I mean,
Jeff, you're asking too many questions now.
Well, we are
another belt.
I mean, these are the questions. I mean, the match itself, I loved. I think Samoa Joe squashed the guy. Terrific. It's awesome. I mean, there's no problem with that. It's just, what was the point? What's it all about? At least I didn't have to see another 12-minute Gravity match.
Yes. That was the dumbest. Who the hell is Gravity, man? Who would have, in their right mind, come up with the idea, I know what you're going to be. You're going to be Gravity.
Bro, listen. The match between him and Pac, though, you got to admit, okay, now I'm gonna ask Vet about this, but, like, you guys have to admit, this was, like, one of the longest builds in the history of professional wrestling, right? When Pac first debuted in the WWE, what was his catchphrase? What was
the man that Gravity forgot?
He was the man that Gravity forgot. And they had Gravity all this way, like 6 years later, Gravity finally fucking remembered him and came back for him.
That's right. And he looked like he'd seen a ghost when he came out there walking with the astronaut suit. Dude, you guys are out of your minds. Gravity is tight. What are you talking about? This is exactly everyone's new favorite wrestler. Okay, he's got a great gimmick, a great name. He's somebody's brother, and he lost this match in less than 3 minutes. So this is a win all around. We are all winning.
Can we confirm it's not Sandra Bullock?
We cannot confirm that. We absolutely cannot. Right. We can't confirm it's not George either. I haven't seen George in a while. Have you?
Are you sure it's not a foot soldier?
We know that he's had history. George has had history with the wrestling business, being married to Stacy Keibler, right? So
that's exactly right. So I think right now
George.
He's trying to settle that whole thing in Sudan, since the whole South Sudan thing was George Clooney's idea.
Yeah. Well, anyway, or it could be Gravity's idea. So I was a big fan of this, and Gravity's over with me because he's ridiculous. And he does this. He wears the astronaut suit with the little Mexican flag on the sleeve.
So cute. It's just like Winnetou.
As if Mexico could get anybody in fucking space. Come on.
I know. That's what's great about it.
They manage to get people everywhere else. I don't know why you're doubting the Mexicans' ingenuity from getting from place to place.
Do you realize how many people they can fit on a shuttle? All right, you know what? Never mind. I strike that for Jimmy. Strike that from the record. I did not say that.
I'll make sure I record that little bit right there now. No, but seriously, Gravity is a joke. All right, but yeah, it's amusing that he done the walk. But the best thing about this match was Joe's walk away. Yeah, Shay doesn't exist. I told you. But no, but really, Yeah, but no, seriously,
gravity works the other way in Australia.
he does the other way.
Turn your camera upside
But
down so you're upside down.
don't tempt me, I will. But no, but really, you know the Joe walkaway that he does, the trademark walkaway, was brilliant because the timing of that was so fucking good, and then him doing the gravity strut. That's a chef's kiss right there.
I was almost going to hate it until I saw that.
Joe's
No,
a
that was
fucking
brilliant.
worker, man. Like Joe,
he's brilliant.
he gets it. Like he really does get what he's doing in there. I love Samoa Joe. So I actually wanted to bring this up. So this sort of reminded me, this conversation about gravity and who he is and why he's there, etc. So recently I saw an interview with, what the fuck is the guy's name? Is it Salida del Sol? What was his name? The guy that was Fuego del Sol. Fuego del Sol. And he was saying that, once Cody left AEW, it was really, it was a lot harder for him to communicate with the back. And it was like, well,
really?
Yeah, because Cody was probably like, well, this guy can do flippy stuff, and he's got a mask, and he speaks English, and he listens. So let's just keep him, and he can be our flippy guy with the mask. And then Tony Khan, once Cody went on to greener pastures, the guy basically was like, hey, there's another guy with a mask who does flippy stuff. I want him. And then he went out and he got somebody else. And then he saw another guy who was flippy and had a mask and was like, hey, I want that guy. And even though that guy doesn't speak English and doesn't listen and can't work, and then finally he went, oh, gravity. That he's got a cool mask and does flippy stuff. I want that one. So now there's another one, and they just keep running through it. Can anyone really, like, are we sure that this isn't the same guy? Like, every single one of these luchadors isn't just the same guy putting on a new mask? Like, I'm pretty sure that you'll have to convince me pretty well that Fuego del Sol is not gravity.
The bodies are very different.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
yeah, they are. They actually are.
Fuego del Sol is gravity if gravity had been stricken with AIDS for like several years.
Listen, I enjoy Tony Khan slander as much as the next guy, probably more than most. But Fuego del Sol is not that. He's lucky he had a job as long as he did. Fuego del Sol adds nothing to a roster whatsoever. And yes, Tony Khan has several like him, and he had several like he still has Serpentico. What's the fucking difference? So, listen, you got highly paid for 3 years plus, and your contract ran out. Enjoy the time you had in the sun, and that anybody actually knows Fuego del Sun, which I guess is fire of the sun. So time in the sun, there you go. And, and now you can do something with your career. Your ask is up. You can go to conventions, and people might actually want your photos for $5. I don't know, but Fuego del Sol is not. I don't care that Cody leaving impacted Fuego del Sol, not on a human level. I mean, everybody wants to make a living, but not everyone gets to make a living doing what they want to do. I don't think like 99.9% of the people don't get to make a living doing what they want to do. So, including like people who did their live stream, their job turned out to be different. Like, I can't tell you how many clergymen I've talked to who were like, yeah, being the head priest of this church, I'm not ministering to my flock. I'm running a business, and I didn't want to do that. So, whatever. Fuego, you had a really good undeserved run. I hope you invested well. Hasta luego, baby.
Mind you, he's the fire of the sun from Arkansas.
Alabama, baby.
Jeff, Chris just wanted to make his joke about everybody being the same luchador. You didn't have to go into all that. What's next?
I really did, but it's okay. All right, so next up, CM Punk is called to the ring by Tony Schiavone. He gets a mostly positive reaction from the crowd tonight. There was some boos, but I felt like this was a more positive than negative sort of crowd here in Connecticut. When asked about the bag, he says that I haven't been so much bringing the bag around as much as I've been left holding it, which was a cool little line if you like CM Punk. So he's been holding the bag. Punk then pulls out the world title, his version of the world championship without the Burberry. And he says he's the real world champion. Nobody's beaten for him the title since he beat Jon Moxley for it. Lols, bringing up that he beat Jon Moxley. Good stuff. That won't piss anybody off in the back. Punk then draws an X through the title, and he says that the belt represents him. Ricky Starks comes out to interrupt, and then he says that he needs to do a real entrance, so he's going to go to the back, and he's going to come back out, again, play the music, so everybody pretend like he didn't already come out there. Not sure if that was just because I was watching the live feed or if that's actually something Ricky Starks did on television. It is?
Was.
Okay.
It was a bit,
Yep.
and then the best part of the biggest pop for me personally of the entire show was Nigel saying, "Oh my God, it's Ricky Starks! Can you believe
I
it?"
loved it.
Yeah.
Nigel was great. And I was listening for CTE. I heard no CTE. He was on his A game.
CTE. It was
Nigel
like the
Good
week
day. It was a
before.
good day for him. Yeah.
He was
Also,
great.
the week before, it's funny because Nigel does this every week. He will do something small like that where if you know, you know. The week before, he looks at Ian and goes, "Tell me if I'm telling lies, Ian." You know what I mean? Yeah. So he's a character, man. He makes me laugh every week.
Him and Wade Barrett have quickly become my two favorite commentary people.
And honestly, him and Riccaboni are great. And I mean, like I'm not sure who was the guy who was on the first episode instead of Riccaboni. Who was that?
Kevin Kelly.
Okay, he was not as good as Ian Riccaboni has been. Like Riccaboni and Nigel together have been like really good. I really enjoy the commentary team on Collision, like more than any other commentary team that I hear on wrestling. So,
well, don't enjoy it too much, Chris, because as soon as Kevin Kelly's back from the G1, he'll be taking his rightful chair, and Riccaboni will fuck back off to Ring of Honor.
Yeah, well, I guess that'll probably happen. Ricky Starks basically says that he has earned a shot at the title by beating CM Punk twice. Not only does he feel like the world champion, he also feels like the face of Collision, which I don't know if that's bigger than the title. I don't know if that's how I would have exactly worded that.
And what is exactly the face of a Collision?
Well, I know
I'm
what
just
people's
saying.
faces look like after collisions. It's not great.
A busted fender.
Yeah. All right. Punk walking the line a little bit, the Bret Hart line. He's walking this Bret Hart sort of character of like, you only beat me because you cheated and the refs really screwed me and et cetera, et cetera. He's kind of walking that Bret Hart line before WrestleMania 13, like before he really turned, but he was starting to you're starting to sort of see like, and people are starting to go, you're kind of whining, Bret.
Right.
Like, there's a little bit of you that just seems like you're complaining about shit. He's walking that line a little bit with CM Punk.
I think by next week or the week after, speaking of Bret Hart, he'll start screaming out, "This is bullshit!" Like he got screwed somehow. But what I didn't like about this segment, though, Chris, where the fuck was MJF?
Yeah, I mean, somebody's claiming to be the world champion. We know you're on the show. Like, you literally are main eventing later with your boyfriend. And, where are you? Somebody else is claiming to be the world champion. Why not come out? Like, why wouldn't the world champion come out and be like, listen, you got injured because you're an old man and you can't do this full time anymore. You're very talented, CM Punk, right? You still might be one of the most talented wrestlers in the world, but your body just can't hang anymore, right? I'm the real world champion. I've held this title, for longer than you've been an active wrestler in this company at this point. So, like,
Silly.
where was he? Why would you
silly.
not have the world champion come out during this?
And you know what the sad part is? I bet you he probably did bring that up in the back, right? Not that I know MJF personally or anything like that, but going by the way he looks at the business, you think he would have brought that up, right? To
And
management.
it could have fit into the story as to why he was distracted in the main event as well. But this is, I'm glad that Chris brought it up, but I'm sure everyone in the world brought it up too. I mean, why do you do this angle? Why do you rush this angle? Because they could have let it percolate plenty more weeks when your world champion, who usually is on the Wednesday night show, is actually there that night. 2, it doesn't involve him. And then Ricky Starks shouldn't have said, I want a shot at that title. He should have said, I beat you twice now. I'm the real world champion. I mean, he should have said that. Then you have MJF come out and you've got a 3-way feud.
Well, he started to say that, and then CM Punk was like redirecting him in the promo, like, "You want a shot at the title? You want a shot?" He's like,
And
"Give
he
me
fucked
the
up.
title. I beat you. Give me the title." And Punk's like, "You want a shot at the title?" It's like, remember what we talked about, Ricky? We went over this. You're going. You know, like you could see that this was throughout this whole thing, they were trying to like make sense of this shitty idea for an angle and try to like make it entertaining. So this was a good example of like trying to make chicken salad and lemonade, but just not quite succeeding. They didn't get the full conversion because a lot of this shit made no sense and was pointless, but they were entertaining being pointless. So it's like a wash.
And the reason that they did it is because they're rushing the angle, and it's probably similar to what the vet said about Suzuki is available, so book him. It's probably, this is when Steamboat was available, so book him. So it's important that you have to do that now. When against SmackDown, you think Ricky Steamboat, not SmackDown, SummerSlam, you think Ricky Steamboat as a special guest referee in 2023 makes it? I mean, Ricky Steamboat might be the most forgotten legendary wrestler of all time. Because he was a perennial babyface. No one remembers, people don't remember. Anyway, he's all over the place. He's been on NWA. He's been on MLW. It's not like he was in the Ric Flair or the Ric Flair talks. He decided not to do it. But it's not like he's a special attraction anymore anyway. And that's why I said I also rush angles and stipulations. It's like these two barely have a grudge and a feud. I mean, it's just started, and you're rushing straight to a stipulation with a special guest referee already, and it's on a night that's against SummerSlam. I mean, you couldn't do this during All In or All Out, or maybe an intermediate, a collision 2 weeks before that to build to something more that Ricky Starks goes brutal on Ricky Steamboat, and so Punk, wants a last man standing match against Ricky Starks at All In or whatever the actual pay-per-view, AEW proper pay-per-view is. Listen, the segment was entertaining enough. It just boiled my britches on the illogical Richter scale.
Yeah, no, I agree. There was definitely some. I mean, there was a lot of wrong with this. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be Ricky Steamboat, and the crowd went mild because nobody gives a shit. Like, who cares that Ricky Steamboat is coming back? Is anybody?
You care, Chris. You care. You're the one who cares because you love Ricky Steamboat, and Ricky Steamboat's the fairest man on earth, and he's going to call this right down the middle. It's the perfect choice.
And by the way, if Punk doesn't trust the referees that work for AEW to call it fair and square because he doesn't have enough influence in the back, doesn't it say that you have more influence in the back, that you got a special guest referee already booked for next week in a match that you just booked next week? I mean, obviously you have power in the back if you already offered the match in 7 days and you pre-booked the special guest referee and got that approved. So don't tell me you don't have influence in the back about the referees when you've already done this. This did not... Tell me when I'm telling lies. Stop me when I'm telling lies.
No, we both said it. It made no sense, but it was entertaining. CM Punk is a master on the microphone.
Yep.
Ricky Starks says things that are funny, but he's still learning. So we got some entertainment there. And he didn't take the stick away from Shivani and walk away like everybody else does. So there you go. Points for all the talent and no points for the people behind the curtain.
And his vest was silly.
Yeah.
Yep. No, basically all these points are correct. All right, we get a recap next of Cole and Max winning the blind tag team tournament. That's a thing that happened. Just remember. Next up, we've got a trios match as the Guns and Juice Robinson face Vikingo, Andretti, and Darius Martin.
The new mega champion, Vikingo.
Yeah,
he won it. He's the AAA mega champion, campeón de AAA.
When did you lose it?
I don't know.
Oh.
Right. So
I'm just trying to talk about belts because we're
right. So we've already asked what exactly is the TNT Championship. We had to have a whole conversation about that. Then 2 segments later, a man came out with a former world championship that he lost because he was injured for half a fucking year. That he's decided now he's going to be defending against Ricky Starks, while Ricky Steamboat is the guest referee. I guess they really needed to find somebody named Ricky to referee the match with Ricky. And now we've got a trios match where, hey, remember, we've got trios titles that nobody cares about and nobody thinks about. And earlier we had one of the trios champions come out without his belt, so apparently it doesn't mean anything to him. But in this trios championship, there's a very, very small Mexican man who has another championship from another company, and we're going to talk about how he's the champion of that other company. So everybody has a fucking belt. Great.
And because Aaron Ben Shlomo has been asking about it, he keeps saying, "Where's Jay White? Where's Jay White?" Jay White was ringside in cardboard form.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was there. He was there. I saw him.
Did he did Aaron watch the show? Probably not, because he put like 50 sleeping emojis, so he probably missed the part where Jay White was there.
Didn't you see him? Yeah.
Right.
And he was taller than the other Jay White. Did you notice that?
He's like Drax the Destroyer. He can stay very still so that you can't see him. He becomes invisible to you.
Exactly.
Oh, man. He was very much like Jay White, though, at least. He was laughing. He was going bang.
No, you don't.
It's great.
All right. Aaron.
Basically, this match was just everybody was around beating each other up. Nobody cares about tagging or rules, and the ref doesn't care about the rules. Ian Riccaboni calls it out and says the ref is having an extremely difficult time getting control of this match. That's hilarious, Ian. He wasn't trying. Vikingo has to fall down 3 times on his way to the corner because nobody was there to cut him off. That was funny. Haha. Not really funny. Actually, it was pathetic. Learn how to fucking work, everybody. The next spot was one where the heels are all standing around staring at each other, huddled together like a bunch of quails, before Vikingo is launched into the air to do a dive. It looked really impressive, and apparently it wasn't very effective because 45 seconds later, the Guns won with their finish. The only good thing about this match was that they took out a cardboard cutout of Jay White and then posed with it twice. That was funny. Other than that, This was fucking nonsense.
You know what annoyed me the most about this match, though, right? The fact that they were even bothering. At one point, I mean, the ref had totally lost control, like usual in AEW, right? But what was even more offensive to me was after they were all playing jumping castles, right? I mean, that's what they were doing. They were all jumping in the castle like little kids, just jumping, going boing, boing, boing. Yep. You might as well give them pogo sticks as well and pop the castle so they can still bounce around anyway.
Don't
they have the nerve.
Any ideas? That's somebody's next gimmick.
A pogo on the pole match. But really, you know what really offended me though, guys? The fact that I had the decency to actually go back in their corners and ask for a fucking tag. Like, seriously, what the hell, man? You the whole match was no tags, and then suddenly towards the end of the match, we're having tags. Why?
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, on the nice side, Vikingo does take off his ridiculously stupid Halloween mask. So that's good.
That was stupid, man.
He, like Phoenix before him, does these 8-point elaborate moves that end up in an arm drag, which is ridiculous. Then there was one time where instead of going for a tag, he does like 17 flipping moves, turns around, steps over the guy he just escaped to go a half a step to make a tag.
You know what else is funny? The slip and slide that he does. You know, when everyone just tosses him and he pretends there's water there and he does the slip and slide, like literally. It drives me nuts.
You know what he reminds me of? Remember Ocean's 11 where they had the acrobat, the contortionist that like could do all. He's like that. He's like that version of Ocean's 11. He does like just tricks. Everyone watches it, and then it's done. He was also in Ocean's 8 for those who are a little bit younger. Anyway, the one thing I liked about this match is that the cardboard cutout did tell me, and I hope this is on purpose, that Jay White is A, the leader, and B, he's being carved out as the solo main event star out of this group. Because the thing that makes no sense about this faction, it's been built as 2 tag teams, which the Guns have done before with. And
no Jeff, are they Bullet Club Gold or the Bang Bang Clan, whatever the hell they are?
Yes. Anyway, so Jay White needs to be established as a single star because, there's been a big issue about how he was booked. And in the beginning, he was booked just like anyone else. And then the tag team matches came, and they were spectacular. But but he looks like a spectacular tag team wrestler. So it's time. And if that's what that cardboard cutout was supposed to do, if it was just a happy coincidence because it was something they thought was a yuck, and that's the impression it gave me wrong,
yuck.
well, like hopefully they're listening to the show or others that notice the same thing, because he needs to be set aside as the singles main event guy. Juice can be the singles, mid card guy, whatever that is. And then the Guns are their tag team. But okay, but this match, as you said, this was nothing. It was a silly little match. As soon as you saw Vikingo, Darius, and Andretti, you knew who was losing. So, the end.
Yeah, but what trios are they going to get to go for the trios titles? Since they have somebody.
I got it.
Wait. Oh, and which world title? They could all four of them could go for separate versions of the world title. Since there's now 2 versions of the world title, they could just split it and have 4.
There's 3 technically if you include Cesaro Castagnoli.
Right, or we could do a Quattros title for them, so that would be cool, and then we could have a Quattros title in AEW.
How about the Baphomet title for the 5-person team?
Fuck.
You should have the Pentagram title, and the only person who never holds it is Penta. He keeps trying to get 4 guys, and he loses every time. That should be long-term story. For 5 years, he's got 17 different teams of 5, and they all lose in the Penta title matches.
The Penta title.
Listen,
all right,
boy.
Get me Freddie Prinze. We're restarting Chikara.
Fucking Freddie Prinze. All right, Vet.
Shit.
Tell me, am I wrong in my assessment here that the best worker of this entire match was actually a cardboard cutout of Jay White?
Oh, you took my gimmick. I was just gonna say that all this really went to show is that Jay White is the best worker, and he doesn't even have to be there.
Pretty fucking much.
Jay Mignon, ladies and gentlemen.
that's
Jay
right.
Mignon.
Jay Mignon, indeed.
Good stuff. All right. Well, next up we have a singles match, which kind of surprised the hell out of me. So Mercedes Martinez and Kira Hogan.
Can I just say quickly before you continue, Chris? Who the fuck comes out and wrestles with friggin' hair extensions like that?
Lots of people.
Kira Hogan.
Yeah.
Kira Hogan.
And to think that it was going to be comfortable wrestling like that. To me, it looked like it was annoying her throughout the match.
Yeah.
Sasha.
Pretty much every female wrestler you can think of.
Yeah.
Wake up, girls.
What? I'm sorry. Wasn't there heat between Kira Hogan and The Office? Wasn't she upset because Tony Khan shared her weed and then didn't re-sign her or something? Am I
Jesus
crazy?
Christ!
Did that happen?
That was a whole other human being.
Yeah. She does not like the Mean Girls, which is why she ended up on Collision. Good for her. I remember very well when everyone thought she was one of the best female wrestlers in the world at Impact, and when she came in, this will stabilize the women's division. Yeah. So anyway, listen. It's on one hand I could say, geez, we've seen Mercedes Martinez exactly once in the last year in AEW. We've seen Kiera Hogan not since the whole baddies thing. But on the other hand, it's good to see them again on TV. I mean, if they're going to be here, they should wrestle. As far as the match was concerned, I mean, I thought it was an okay women's match. There was nothing special about it.
Stunk, Jeff.
But, okay, well, it sort of stunk. But I sort of hated the ending of, it was just to build an Insta title shot for one of these, I assume one of these pay-per-views, or maybe it's just for next week again to pretend that this Collision show is going to be big against SummerSlam, where, I mean, in all likelihood, it's going to lose half its audience to SummerSlam.
Oof. It's going to be bad.
Yep, that's going to be a rough one. I actually had the complete opposite reaction to this match than Jeff did, apparently. I thought that they worked really hard, but the finish was the best part of this match. I liked that Martinez locked in a pretty cool-looking submission, wouldn't let go, and then powdered when Statlander ran down, but, Statlander ran down to save her friend, I guess? They're friends.
Oh, God.
That's the point.
But why?
Are they friends?
Really? Are they friends? That's what I... Right.
She was sort of a heel, but no, I don't mean this is the end. So I just meant that it led to this title shot out of nowhere. And but go on. But I like you. I also like the double save.
Yeah, and then I liked that, Martinez looked like she was powdering out. She was like, "Oh no, I don't want any. I don't want any. I'm good. I'm gonna leave now." And then Chris Statlander, who is apparently fucking stupid, just thought, "Hey, she saw me. She's gonna leave now. She won't come back and try to attack me. I can safely turn my back on this woman who's clearly unhinged and trying to hurt people,
and leave with this weapon.
Nothing will happen." Yeah, and I'll just leave her my belt here. It didn't work out very well. And I guess Martinez is going to have a shot at the TBS championship moving forward. So,
Chris,
cool.
Jimmy Crack Corn, and come on, boys.
I don't care. Vet, is Kira Hogan a great women's worker?
Well, I didn't watch this match because I just didn't have the time. So I skipped it, but I will kind of revert back to my, review of Sky Blue's last match. Kira Hogan has a butt, and that's really true. All that needs to be said about this.
And her butt was over once upon a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Still over to me, damn it.
Yeah, damn right.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been informed that apparently that was not the same person who shared her weed with Tony Khan. There's two different people.
No.
So
No.
Yeah.
It is?
All right.
Oh.
Yeah. Apparently.
No.
Apparently.
You're talking about Big Swole. I just assumed you were doing a bit. Leave that in, Jimmy. Leave that in.
I was doing a bit. I'm continuing the bit now. It doesn't matter.
It's
all right, time for the main
I'm not
event.
yes-anding that. I'm not.
Oh shit!
No, you just no-butted me. You just no-butted me.
No
God damn it!
That's right. Much like Sky Blue's butt or Kira Hogan's butt. Hey, I got a booking. I got a booking for you guys. What do you think about this? Yes. Kira Hogan versus Sky Blue in a regular match. How about that?
What? Why can't we do a bra and panties match?
A butt on a pole?
Because their gear is bra and panties. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know, but
where else does it go?
And they both have small boobies.
That's kind of true. Actually, speaking of boobies,
all right, just a panties match then.
Okay.
Panties match.
Did you notice Martinez absolutely smacking her on her tits, man?
No, Jimmy.
Towards the end of the match. Oh well, I did.
I didn't because I missed the whole thing.
Brutal.
Wow.
Martinez was like, if I make it swelled here, will these grow? Apparently not. Okay.
We know Martinez was just on the carcass there in Connecticut. And apparently, she's from someplace called Brass City, Connecticut.
Is there such a thing?
Brass City.
I had never heard about it before, but apparently it's under the bridge between New York and I don't know. I guess it's sort of like Jersey City, Jersey, that it's real, but no one's ever been there.
Jersey City, Jersey. Oh boy.
Oh, all right. Cool. All right, so back from break, there's a video package that hypes up the main event for the tag championships, and that is what we're getting. FTR versus Better Than You, baby. Can I ask a question? And I suppose the person who I want to ask is actually Vet, because he's going to have more of a in-depth answer to this, and I already know that it's mostly a capitalist problem that we're seeing here. What's with the apparent main eventers? And I mean, I get it if you're like a bottom of the card guy and nobody really gives a shit. What's with the apparent main eventers? Two guys who are, I'm guessing, in the very near future going to have a match for the world championship between the two of them. What's with guys at that level of the card continuing to wear their fucking t-shirts throughout a match? What, like, am I the only one who gets totally fucking annoyed by that?
Probably not. There's a couple of ways to look at it. One way look at it is that, Adam Cole's ashamed of his upper body.
Exactly. That's the answer.
Even though, in that case, I would have suggested a long sleeve shirt, but as we already established, it was quite hot in Connecticut that night, so I can understand.
With one of those Halloween muscle shirts underneath it?
Right. You can't, which is the same reason why he can't, partake of any advice or, Florida water or B12 or climate change or anything else, because it'd just be way too obvious now, and he's beyond the point of no return. So this is what we get. For MJF, he could just have it, as a body guy. Maybe he's having a day where he's just feeling fat, or maybe he's in there with solidarity with Adam Cole. Like, well, if he's gonna wear a t-shirt, I'll wear a t-shirt. It could be that. It could also be on a deeper level with these guys. It could just be a way of them signifying, like really beating the audience over the head with it. We're a team. This is our merchandise. We're going to wear this. Also, it could be a thing of this separates our tag team endeavor from our future singles match, because this match isn't as important as that match, so we're going to wear t-shirts in it. Like, there's a bunch of layers to the psychology of why you would wear t-shirts. Possibly it's a combination of all those things that I said, that everybody just say, it's probably best we just wear the shirts.
And sell the shirts.
And you got to sell the shirts, because they're not going to last forever, so get them while we've made way too many of them, or whatever the case may be. Even though I hear, even though I hear AEW has trouble keeping some merch in stock at their live events and whatnot. So
really, wait, there's more.
Yeah, but wait, there's more. Buy one buy one t-shirt for $40 and you'll get another one free.
Get a replica Moxley Rusty Blade.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, nobody wants that though.
But you know what, Vet, you're right. You're spot on. It's definitely because of Adam Cole's fatness. Clearly he's so fat that he needs to wear a singlet. But also the fact that, like you said, sell the shirts. But I think deep down it's because Cole is embarrassed and MJF is just doing him a favor.
It doesn't look good anyway when you've got your two main event guys wrestling in t-shirts. Like, that's a Kevin Owens gimmick, and we get why Kevin does it, because KO is fat and he has man titties and he wants to cover them up, and he still works great. So hey, it works for that guy. But like, MJF looks like Adonis. He looks like a Greek marbling statue. Why the fuck is that guy wearing a t-shirt? That's like one of the point. Like, I know that bodies aren't everything in pro wrestling, but it's a big part of the genre. Like, Jeff Lippman is on the show, and I mean, we've heard him go on and on and on about Bobby Lashley and how wonderful he looks and stuff. Like, this is a big part of professional wrestling. So I don't know, if you're main eventing and you're supposed to be the world champion, I just think it looks like shit. I think it looks awful, but anyway, it's one thing if you come out for a segment wearing your t-shirt, but to do a whole main event match where you're apparently going for the world tag team championships wearing your fucking t-shirts, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just old school. It looks like garbage. Also, speaking of singlets and what people are wearing, I have a good idea. This is gonna harken back to our last segment here, but I think we do Kira Hogan versus Sky Blue. But we put them in those Saudi Arabia bodysuits. That would
be. Yeah, no ass for anybody. None. No, the burqa too. Yeah.
I like. You want to talk about heel,
that.
You want to talk about heel authority figures? That's what we're doing here. All right.
Mushallah to that. That's what I'm saying.
I see Kira Hogan versus Sky Blue on the sheet. No, change that. No, we're good. That's fine. We can have them work. We'll give them 15 minutes, by the way. Put them in one of those Saudi Arabia bags.
Well, as Patty LaBelle would say, mocha chocolate yaya.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into this match. FTR focusing on power and striking. Cole and Max attacking with quickness and throwing in some fun. Thanks,
and I just want to say, shout out to Jerome, man. And I just want to say condolences to you from all of us here, man, about your mother passing away, bro.
Yeah, sorry, man.
Just wanted to put that out there, man.
Absolutely brutal, brother. Thanks for being here. Hopefully we can take your mind off of things for the most part, other than the fact that Jimmy just brought it up on air and is talking about it right now. And we're currently talking about it. Other than that, hopefully we can distract you a little bit today. We love you, Jerome. Honestly, I hope you're doing good, but yeah. All right.
You
so
did,
there is no wrong time, Elizabeth. Yes, there is no right time.
That's right. All right. So FTR focusing on power and striking. Cole and Max attacking
Wait,
with
I have
quickness.
something, Chris. I have something. The PWC
Go ahead.
is perennially wrong channel. So there is no right
Yeah,
time.
perennially wrong channel. Well, that's
Well,
fine. But
we're on
not
HMG
the PWC
right now. Exactly.
We're on
I know,
HMG at
it's an invasion.
channelattitude.com. God damn
Yeah.
it.
Don't bury our invasion angle.
God damn it, Jeff.
The angle that never ends.
I would be the Hogan in this, I guess.
Right.
All right. Anyway, let's get back to the fucking match.
Okay.
The match.
I've tried to do that 3 times now. Dash Daxon takes over the match, healing a bit during the break. The crowd, they're really into this team of Max and Cole. Even as Freeman's cheating, the crowd is still continuing to support him. They're happy. They love the eye pokes now. The eye pokes are fucking awesome. FTR go for the double clothesline. That got some good heat. The crowd did not want to see the double clothesline from those guys. It allows Cole to get the hot tag after they've worked over Max quite a bit. He fires up pretty solidly, including a lung blower for a 2 count. They run a few near fall spots, including a super kick to the back of the head into a tombstone from MJF and the power and glory from FTR. Neither of those got a 3 count. Dax allows Cole to tag MJF in so that the two of them can exchange, which they do pretty well. I actually like the way that they work together. They seem pretty smooth. They were working pretty well off of each other. The finish is relatively clever here as Cole is being set up for the Shatter Machine, but MJF pushes him out of the way so that he can sacrifice himself for it. But he winds up getting rolled up and pinned by FTR for the win. Yeah, I will talk about we'll talk about the aftermath of this after we talk about the match. But let's go to Jeff first. Jeff, what were your thoughts on this wrestling match before we get into the post-match stuff?
I'm going to start with something positive. I enjoyed this match. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think that they took too much time on the haha and building up to the match. There wasn't enough time for as much time as they spent on the sort of the delay tactics and all of that. I would say they did the looking at each other and yelling double clothesline too many times. Like that should be, they should only do that once, maybe twice, but it just felt like every 5 minutes they were saying double clotheslines and the match took about 20 minutes. So, I mean, that was...
It was like Power Rangers.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's morphin' time. Seriously.
But I thought it was very interesting that FTR was definitely the heels in this match, and so they saw working that way. And Cash, who I like better than Dax, even though that seems to be an unpopular opinion in the world, Cash was yelling at the crowd. He was yelling into the camera. He was talking like a heel. And by the way, Cash slowly, I mean, he's always been a stocky guy with good musculature.
He's getting fat, bro.
No, he's carving himself.
Bullshit.
He's carving himself up. You're completely wrong, dude.
Yeah, dude.
You could
see the 6-pack through all the fucking hair on his stomach.
Jimmy, you have terrible taste in men.
Get out of here. I'm a Johnny TV guy, Jeff, remember?
Well, that's true. Listen, that one's a softball. It's the more subtle things that you have trouble with. But I thought the match was really good. And listen, everyone was expecting a turn. The question was, is it what we think? MJF is going to be the devil, or are we going to get surprised? Is Adam Cole going to be the jerk again? And what role will Roderick Strong play in it? That's what everyone was talking about. None of that happened. MJF was...
We'll talk about the post-match afterwards. I'm asking you about the match.
I thought you were asking me about that. It was how the match ended. But anyway, I really enjoyed the match, so I'll leave everything else for the rest. I thought the psychology was good. I thought the show was fun. The crowd was really into it. And FTR really showed that they knew what was going on in the crowd. And like Punk, they know when to play heel and when to play face, even though they're supposed to be faces. I just find it strange that the 3 guys that the show is built around as the top faces are almost like the top heels.
Dumb.
Yeah.
Well,
again, they can't control the crowd.
Again, this is the thing with the AEW audience right now. It's so like there's separation in within wrestling between there's you're either an AEW mark or you're a WWE shill or whatever, right? But then even within AEW now, there's this big separation between if you're the guys who are showing up to watch the California connection or whatever the fuck the elite are calling themselves.
The Rosita connection.
Yeah, if you're them motherfuckers, then if you're showing up for them, then you're booing Punk, right? And if you're showing up for Punk, then you're booing the elite. And it's like, no matter what they do, they're gonna have this problem where there's this issue happening where half the crowd love you, half the crowd hates you because they're not actually running the fucking program that they ought to. And if they would just run a fucking program for 3 months between these two sides, get it out of the way, then people would know who to cheer for and who to boo, and we could actually move forward with business. But as is, we're kind of stuck in this place where nobody's getting fucking the proper work done. And I mean, yeah, listen, you've got a split crowd for FTR. You've got a split crowd for CM Punk. People are still reacting. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it could be so much better if they would just run a fucking program against the elite already. Anyway, that's my soapbox. Jimmy, we'll go with you next, and then we'll ask Vet his opinion on the match afterwards.
Well, I didn't mind the match, right? But it was definitely not as good as the tag team match we had on Collision. What was it, 2 weeks ago? Nowhere near on that level. It just wasn't. Well, I don't know. With these four guys, you'd think they wanted to do a banger, like as they all say. But yeah, look, I'm confused though. As much as I do love this Cole MJF thing, right? And it is like a dumb bromance in many ways. I just don't understand. Like a few weeks ago, he was the devil, right? Where's all my devil worshippers at, right? And now what is he, a saint? I mean...
He's happy to have a friend.
Come on, man.
It's like the Golden Girls song. He finally has a friend.
Yeah, but... And Cash Cashton and Dax Daxton, right? First of all, Dax Daxton. Wait, have I got that one right? Who's Dax Daxton? It's the other one, right? Not Cash Cashton.
You can mix and match. Any of them are correct.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter at this point. The Bolden...
If that's what you're talking about.
Well, Dash Daxton actually has the better abs than Cash Cashton.
No, Cash.
I'm just saying.
Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
No.
No, but really. All right, look, Cash Wheeler and Hardwood.
We know.
Hardwood, whatever his last name is, right?
It's hard.
I don't know where you guys...
Hardwood, not hardwood.
Whatever. He's got a hard stomach, in my opinion.
Never
right?
correct us on anything about Suzuki's song lyrics again. Okay? We don't even know the
I know their names, dude. I'm fucking with you guys for crying out loud. God
I don't want
damn
you
it.
fucking with me. I'm straight.
Dash seasoning.
All right, so the bald guy.
Dash seasoning. No, the bald guy, right? The bald guy just needs to shut the fuck up. I've said this for at least a year now.
Agree.
Right? He just needs to shut up. I feel bad for his partner at this point. I mean, if he keeps just blah, 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 I mean, seriously, it's going to fuck him up in the long run, in my opinion. But these guys, they're just so full of themselves, man. Especially that bald guy. He needs to just chill out, man. But the match, yeah, it was fine. It was cool. But, I don't know, man. I'm just confused. I'm left scratching my head. I don't even know what's going on anymore. Like, I just don't know.
What are you wondering about?
Well, who's the heels? Who's the faces? I know FTR last week were baby faces. This week they're heels. On Dynamite they're faces. I have no idea who's who. I don't even know who Dashton is or Cashton.
It doesn't
I have
matter,
no
Jimmy.
idea.
Jimmy, it doesn't matter. Heels and faces. That's such a played out thing in professional
Tired
wrestling.
old
We don't
trope.
really. Yeah, it's a tired trope. We don't need that. That's like that went passe along with saying your prayers and taking your vitamins. That was. Come on now. That's been
And asking people what they want to talk about.
And Jimmy, just say
that
bald
too, right.
and mullet. Or say mustache.
Oh, true,
and
mullet. No,
Either
it's
way,
Dashton and Cashton. All right, that's what it is. Plain and simple. It's not FTR. It's C and D. That's it. You know what I mean? They're a CD. Yeah, should be that. No, but really, I'm just lost, confused. I don't care if this match was a 10 out of 10 star match rating, yeah? Who's who? That's all I want to know. I'm still confused. Who's Cash Cashton? Who's Dax Daxton? Who's the devil? And who's the fat shit?
It's
no,
almost,
really.
It's almost as if you're suggesting, Jimmy, that it's important in professional wrestling that we have antagonists and protagonists. It's almost.
You could have
like
fooled me.
Suggesting.
You could have fooled me. I have no idea. Vet, please explain.
I was just gonna go to you.
Yes. All right. So there's an interesting that Jimmy is bringing up that point. It's interesting that Zane Vicious says they should have took the time to establish faces and heels. Here's the thing. These guys have established who they are already. And what comes out of that is the entertaining part of the match. How do these elements interact? Are they combustible? Will you have basically two heel teams here? And what kind of a match can you get from that? Right? So the whole way up to this match, MJF and Adam Cole, besides doing the goofy skits and everything they've been doing, but the actual matches that they've had in the Eliminator tournament have all been like house show wrestling, a lot of walk and talk and, you know, this kind of thing. And this kind of match it seemed like it wanted to be a little bit more of that. FTR call themselves the best tag team in the world. I'm quite sure they believe it. And the problem with that is nobody's going to like it. They might even be right just by process of elimination. Like there are no tag teams. There are no good tag teams. Tag team wrestling is a dying art. They don't even know how to do the things that they're trying to do 100% correctly. They're just watching old stuff and trying to copy it, not knowing why it worked, that it worked in the era that it worked in and the people that it was coming from. It's just a copy. So
it's a parody, straight up.
It's not even a parody. They think they're doing it right, and they're just not quite getting it because they didn't come from that world. They love that world. They are nostalgic for that world, but they're too young to have even been part of that world. So they're not quite getting it right. But in any case, now because they are who they are, like any other tag team, like even if it is Cole and MJF, they kind of have to defer to FTR and the kind of match they want to put together. And you're going to get a clash when you do that. Like even if you look at the matches they had with the Bullet Club Gold, you could see that there's like a little bit of times in there where Jay and Daxon or whoever are like having a little bit of a real-time disagreement about what needs to happen in the match. Like if you know what you're seeing that. So I'm quite sure that MJF and Cole probably had an idea what they wanted to do. FTR had an idea what they wanted to do. And even though I'm sure all these guys get along, sometimes it just doesn't come across like it's not magic, right? You should have had a good opportunity to take two heels who are pretending that they're baby faces, or at least one heel and one baby face, you know, acting like baby faces. And then you have FTR who are normally baby faces, but they're playing the heel role in the situation. You have the makings of a real interesting conflict here, because there's so many role reversals and so many spots you can do with like, you know, like, oh, let's try to play this fair. Oh no, now we're cheating. Oh, now we're cheating. And like, there's so many different ways to go about that. They didn't really do any of that. They just kind of had a decent match. Like that's what they did. And even within the decent match, like they had the skeleton of a decent match. They had the skeleton of it, but on the skin of it, you're seeing all these blemishes, like them bumping and feeding for Adam Cole clotheslines, right? You ain't knocking nobody down with those arms, brother. I'm sorry. And that's one of the reasons that Adam Cole is dead to me. Or these so-called genius best tag team in the world specialists. At one point, one of them, I forget which Dashin or Cashin, one of them tagged the other one when he was like draped over the middle rope, half in and half out of the ring. And he just like tags him on the back. Like, that's not a tag. That's not a legal tag. You're halfway in the fucking ring already. So much for being the best tag team in the world. You don't even know how to fucking tag. You know, there's little things like that like really annoy me when I'm watching it. And even though in the totality of it, I guess they kind of had a decent match. It was semi-entertaining and they kind of did what they wanted to do. But it's those little things that keep it from being great. And it keeps me from recognizing FTR as the greatest tag team in the world or whatever. They keep doing things like that. Jimmy, what are you trying to say?
What's crazy? You know what's crazy? They, like you said, they truly believe they are the best tag team in the world, and they truly
are the
believe
best tag team in the world.
I don't think they are.
Who's better than them?
I think the Usos.
I think the Usos are way better than them, in my opinion. right? Look, man. First of all, they don't get this shit right. They said in on this exact show that they hate MJF, but wasn't it long ago that they teamed up with MJF? I'm talking about maybe about 2 to 3 months ago.
They broke up since, and then that was
no. Hold on. No, they didn't.
Yes, they
did. The Pinnacle broke up. The Pinnacle broke up, but they tagged way after the Pinnacle broke up.
You, they tagged once, but they actually came in to rescue Wardlow once, and they actually teamed with Wardlow and Shawn Spears against MJF.
They said they had no problem with MJF initially, not that long ago. That came out of their mouths.
Yeah, well, that was their bad because on TV they put them in 2 angles to make it clear they were part of Team Face.
Team Face, Team. Well, what are they?
Team Heels. I want to add one thing of substance is that there were 3 times where Dax pulled on the tights, and Ian Riccaboni tried to cover it the first time, saying he didn't pull the tights; he's just positioning his hands. But then Dax did it a second time, and the third time
on his nuts.
No, pull the tights whenever. What do you mean in the nuts? How do wrestlers pull tights to win matches? With the nuts, no.
Trying to
stop.
Well, they should.
Stop. Just stop it. Stop it. Behave.
I've stopped.
Right.
I've stopped.
Good. So the third time, Ian Riccaboni just gave up. He stopped trying to cover for the fact that Dax was actually cheating a little bit, and that's okay because they were the heels in this match.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
they should be wearing heels in this match, in my opinion.
Well, hey, the second best tag team in the world. Terrible place to be in. Awful wrestlers. MJF at the end of this, he's angry at himself for blowing the match. Cole talks him up. He says, "No, you're the world champion. You know, it's okay. You know, we took a loss, but it's all right. You know, we're still good. We're friends, and everything's good. And everything's fine, etc., etc." We're not talking about who did what on whose podcast. We're not doing that.
Yeah, see, that's the problem, Chris. No one's listening to the damn podcast, so how's everyone else supposed to know?
Yeah. All right. It doesn't matter. Anyway, it looks like Max is setting up like he's going to hit Cole with the title. And then Cole apparently knows that that's happening behind him without looking behind him. And he just pulls his hands out and he says, "Listen, you do what you got to do, Max." And then he turns around and Max has dropped the title. And they have a hug. They have a hug. And the two stand around a lot before the show goes off the air. It seems to me like they were like 45 seconds early with the finish or something because they just stood around for 45 seconds after they had a hug.
An overrun. So
they did?
It actually didn't stop until 10:01. And so they were actually standing around doing nothing for no reason.
For exactly no reason.
God
Sounds
damn
good.
It, Daxton.
What? All right. So the blind eliminator tag team tournament thing is now over, and they didn't win. So where's this going? Vet, where does this tag team go now? Are they going to have their rematch right away, or are they going to have a month or two of teaming up together, and then they'll have problems with each other?
No, teaming's done. They'll just build up to the singles match. I didn't like this because it really just didn't make any sense. Like everybody, the only reason that he even threatened to hit Cole is just because that's what everybody's expecting to happen. So they acknowledged it. But if you don't actually do it, then what the hell was the point of threatening to do it? A crisis of conscience? Stop it. Just like if you want to tell your story, just tell your story confidently. Like just say they're friends. The only way that either one of these guys get out without looking stupid is if they both try to turn on each other at the same time and it doesn't work and we're back to square one. Otherwise, somebody's going to end up looking like an extremely stupid person. So now that they've missed this chance to do it, where they could have done it here, they could have done that very thing here, there's really no reason to do anything until they just have the match. And then, they can, it's like try to do the story of, well, we're friends and we're having a wrestling match and let's have a good wrestling contest. And either that can get heated within the match and turn to them trying to kill each other and they can turn on each other throughout the match, which is probably the other best way to go about it. But I don't think we'll see them as just continuing to be a tag team. Could be wrong. I'm trying to think about this logically, so I'm almost definitely wrong.
It gives you a headache,
don't do
Vet,
that.
trying to think, man.
Yeah.
I think you are wrong, and I think it's because this has actually worked out better than they thought it would be. People are interested, and I've never been an Adam Cole fan, and I probably never will be. And I thought it funny that the guy who looks like Jesus and emaciated like Jesus did the full arms outstretched, willing to sacrifice himself like Jesus, the same guy who got crucified a couple of years ago on Easter. But anyway, if a wrestling angle should make me want to tune in to see what happens next. And I am interested to see what happens next with these guys. And yes, it's probably going to lead to a title match. And MJF is going to have to turn there. And the difference is because Triple B, what he truly loves, is on the line. He loves nothing. As much as he actually really fell in love with Adam Cole as a friend, bromance. Stop, Jimmy, stop. Don't do it.
Of the summer, by the way.
A summer fling, that his real love is himself and Triple B and being the champion. And if that's the story, and I think it is, that's what it should be, and that's fine. That's cool. So do I want to continue to see what's happening, despite not giving a damn about Adam Cole and knowing that Roderick Strong may be involved in this, and knowing worse that Kyle O'Reilly might be recovering enough to be on TV in some sort of role, and having to see those two charisma vacuums being involved in this and somehow, and still being like, all right, I'm okay with seeing what happens next. I want to see what happens next. That's a successful wrestling story. There's been plenty of stuff during the Bloodline which has been dopey and dumb, but I've always said I'm interested in seeing what happens next in the story, and so I'm gonna be consistent with it myself. Was this perfect? No. Was it elongated? Yes. Was it the greatest match? No, but it wasn't supposed to be the greatest match. It was supposed to be can they coexist? And surprise, surprise, they could, but they still were not able to beat the best team in the world, which was sort of what we were talking about on Smack Attack, where we don't like it in WWE with the women's titles. And granted, the titles were on the line this time. They weren't there. I know that the difference is significant. But still, it's as it should be. Two of the greatest singles wrestlers in the company couldn't beat the best tag team specialist. It's all fine. So I thought that this match was plenty entertaining, and that's all it's supposed to do on a TV match, is entertain me, and it did.
Great. Jimmy, one thing that I noticed that I was sort of chuckling at myself at the end here when Adam Cole was sort of, he was telling MJF, hey, it's okay, we tried, etc. I kept thinking, fuck, man, everybody hated this idea when it came out. Vince McMahon was right. Adam Cole would be great as somebody's manager. Like he really it really came across as like Adam Cole would be a good manager. He really would be a great fit as a manager, considering that, his look, right? Like, Vet sort of alluded to this, but I have heard this apparently is a real thing that happened. So Adam Cole, he slapped a mosquito last week. There was a problem with mosquitoes. He slapped the mosquito, and the mosquito just said, "Harder, Daddy." So, Jimmy,
what can I say to that? No, but really, it's funny because now that I think about it, now that you mention it, he would be a great manager. As a matter of fact, wouldn't it be good to be that antagonizing sort of piece of shit manager for MJF as a heel thing, right? I mean, why not? And if he's not going to get into shape, look, I don't know what's going on exactly with Adam Cole. I don't know if it's concussions. I don't know if there's something wrong with him physically per se. But is he hitting the gym? Like, it doesn't look like he is. His arms are becoming twigs every week. Like, they're getting even more thinner as we speak. It doesn't look like he's putting any effort in whatsoever. So I don't know if that's technically a physical problem or he's lazy. I mean,
he has the AIDS.
He has the AIDS? Well, whatever it is, good luck to what's her name? What's her name again? The DMD, the dentist. I mean, come on now. Who's which we haven't discussed yet, but that's a whole different issue about the women's division and all the cliques that are forming over there. Team DMD or Team WWE, if you want to call it that. But yeah, I mean, I know it's Britt Baker, and thank you. But I don't know what you do with Adam Cole at this point. I mean, this whole thing between himself and MJF was clearly to get Adam Cole over, I think, anyway. That's what I think. That's my opinion about it. and it
And
did
it's got
work.
him over as a character, but
Right,
he's still
it
wrestling
did.
in a fucking t-shirt.
But yeah, there's your problem. And now what? Like, where do we go with this? Where do we go with Adam Cole? We're gonna have a match, and what big deal? I feel like we're leading to a matchup between Strong and what's his name? God, I don't even know why I've gone blank. The Canadian dude that's out injured right now.
Oh, Kyle O'Reilly.
Kyle O'Reilly. I think them two are going to be together, and maybe we get one more match between MJF and Adam Cole and them two. Who knows, man? But at this point, who cares? I mean, this was very fast-tracked. I just felt like it was very quick. They could have held on a little longer with this instead of going for the tag team championships just yet. But I guess they like to blow their load pretty fast. But as far as Adam Cole, heck, I wouldn't be mad if he was a manager.
Yeah, I really think he'd be better off. And listen, you could do a lot of really entertaining things with him as a manager, and him and MJF as a team, like with Cole as a manager, would be great. And you could keep this run going for a long, long time. Man, him as a world champion threat, I don't see it at all. Anyway, let's talk about grades, ladies and gentlemen. I said that this was the best wrestling show of the week, and I am going to grade it as such, but that does not mean that it is going to get a very good grade. I am giving this a C overall. There was a bunch of stuff on here that I really liked, but there was a bunch of stuff on here that I really didn't like. And the consistent thing that I've liked about Collision, that I've talked about every single week, is that it feels different from the rest of AEW. The referees generally on Collision are telling the people, get the fuck out of the ring. They're counting to 5. And you feel like there's a real threat there that if they get to 5, they'll call a disqualification. They'll actually call you. It seems like that for the most part, and this week it didn't. It just felt like it was a lot more of that, like I said, a bit of a Tony Khan creeping in sort of to the Collision, and I did not like that about this episode, although I still really, really loved the announce team. And I don't know. My highlight of the night, probably Jay White. So that should tell you everything that you should know about how good wrestling was this week for me. Gets a C grade, which is just barely over the C- that SmackDown got from me this week. Let's go to Jimmy first.
God damn it, man. Maybe a C plus. I'll say a C plus because I did enjoy the first match, even though it was a shitstorm in many ways, right? But a fun shitstorm. I mean, it lived up to the name Collision, right? It was definitely a collision and a wreckage at the same time. The main event was just, I don't know, man. I enjoyed it, but like I said, I was left pretty scratching my head by the end of it. And there was one more decent match. Other than that, it was about 3 matches that were okay. The first one was the best by far. Punk.
Darby and Sonoro is probably.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that.
Or whatever the fuck that guy's name is.
Sinjushi. But like Zane Vicious says, MJF needed a contender, and the problem is we had one in CM Punk with his ex-championship. I forgot to mention also the fact that he crossed out the E in Elite is very interesting in my opinion. I think that was done for a reason, not just because he's straight edge. But yeah, we've got a contender. We didn't get MJF coming out to it to say anything. So other than that, yeah, it was a C for me.
All right. Jeff, give us your grade.
All right. I gave SmackDown, I think, a C+. I enjoyed this 2 hours more than SmackDown. Everybody heard me the last 2 hours. There's plenty of Tony creep in here and plenty of illogical inconsistencies that bothered me. I nitpicked quite a bit. That's what I do. Some of the nits were larger than others, but that's what I do. But I still enjoyed the 2 hours. So I'm giving this a tenuous and a worried for the future B-.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is definitely the one where you give your student a B-, and you're like, man, you're better than this. Like, you're actually better than this. Are you getting into drugs? Because, your work was still passable, but not as good as I'm expecting.
I'm trying to trade shows against other wrestling shows that week. So
yeah.
that's my methodology. If I don't seem inconsistent. Consistent.
No, that's been my methodology too. Is I'm grading it against every other show in the week, which is exactly why I said like it was a little better than SmackDown, but a little better than SmackDown. You know, SmackDown C minus. This gets a C.
My page, same.
Lo mismo, hermano. All right, Vet. What was your grade for this show?
It's going to be a C for me, dog. I liked exactly one match on this show, and I was mildly disappointed by everything else, but not enough to drag it down any further.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much how I felt about the night too. All right, well, let's go ahead and do plugs, and we'll get the hell out of here. Let's go with Jimmy T first. Jimmy, where can the people find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter or X, whatever the hell it's called these days, at DJ Mass Effects. And you can also follow us at the PWC Network. Like and subscribe right here at channelattitude.com, where for $5 you get the best talk in all of pro wrestling. Also, check out Stevie Richards' analysis on wrestling, which is pretty great, man. I mean, I was watching a few episodes. That was pretty cool. The way he does it. No one else does it better than Stevie right now, man. And go check him out. And also at humbymediagroup.podbean.com, where you can find our affiliate shows. And at the pwcnetwork.podbean.com, where you can find all our other shows. And that's about it for me.
All right, thank you. Jeff, where can the people find you?
Okay. Every place Jimmy just said, you're probably going to find me also, except on X, and you can send me an Xagram at IcarusFellMD, and kindly follow. I'll follow back if you look like you're a real person, which is great. My non-wrestling shows include Garden of Doom and Garden Views, both on the PWC and here on the HMG, and dropped some really cool shows recently and have some ones lined up. The show I dropped yesterday is on the myths of Antarctica and some commentary on the recent UFO disclosure with Bruce Fenton. And this show is doing it's like increasing at 3 times normal speed. So people seem to dig it. And so, and Bruce is a fairly well-known ufologist, so check out that show if you've never dived into the Garden before. Maybe this is a good week to do so. And on Tuesday, the Garden Views is going to be with the guy who builds robots. And if you hate government, he moved from California to Texas. So there you go. You got everything you want. But builds robots with AI, so everything you should fear. I was going to make that a Garden of Doom, but Viv edited as a Garden View, so there you have it.
All right, cool. Jimmy, before I go to Vet for plugs, can you please highlight Retro Rocket Review's last comment? And Vet, where can the people find you? Do you have opinions?
Oh, I have them, but they don't just come flowing out of me unsolicited. It takes something like this where people are asking me what I think. But anyways, you can find me everywhere. At Opinion Haver, and you can find me everywhere all over HMG. It's actually ridiculous. Had I been on the SmackDown review with you guys yesterday, I would have completed a 6-pack challenge. I don't think anybody's ever done that in the history of the HMG, just because nobody's ever had this many shows on this channel at this one time. But from Monday Locker Room, Impact Attack, Next Level Wrestling Review, Light the Fuse, and now Wreckage. That's a Penta title? That's worth a Penta title, right? So maybe I can be the one guy that can beat Penta for that title this week. And then maybe one week I'll get the 6. And then maybe I'll make it lucky 7 if Ben invites me to the Friday Locker Room. So, but anyway, yeah, you don't need to know where you can find me. You need to know where you can get away from me is more like it. So that's it from me, guys.
Absolutely. Well, all right. You can find me on Twitter. I'm at ChrisHams1. You can go there to you can go there to hear all the things I have to say about professional wrestling, politics, and whatever the hell else comes to my mind. You can also find me, as Jimmy and Jeff both said, on the PWC Network right here on HMG and channelattitude.com. Yeah, you can also find me around the lake. In the Lake of the Woods, although please don't come and find me, because it'll be weird if you come and try to find me on the lake while I'm up here.
It's like a horror movie, The Lake on the Woods.
Yeah, the Lake of the Woods. It's very creepy. All right, but yeah, thank you to the chat. You guys were awesome as always. Thank you very much. For Jimmy, for Jeff, for the Vet, I've been Chris Ambs. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you. Bye-bye. Olay.
Peace.
Stay evil, my friends.
Shout.